what it is. Thank you for tuning in. Waiting for the storm. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Trump made his announcement today. It was a nothing burger. His major announcement. We still have nothing on indictments. We have nothing on action. We haven't seen a major false flag like we expect. But people are still talking as if that's about to happen. I'm going to play you a video here by a gentleman named Roy Potter QA on Twitter. He's pretty interesting. Former military. Oh, there I am. Former military. And I wanted to play what he said because he is talking about something happening. Is something going to happen? Well, you decide.
With Trump's very close inner circle as well. But that's not really important right now. And again, hi to everybody. You know about Q and the relationship between this Q person on 4chan who calls himself Q Clearance Patriot. And again, I think that's a team of people. And Trump. And all that's going on with the over 800 indictments, sealed indictments around the country now. All of the crazy things that are going on. Well, I'm just going to jump to the chase here. Tonight, when Trump landed at Andrews in Air Force One, he immediately tweeted out that they're praying for the people in Sutherland, Texas, and that the FBI, that law enforcement and FBI has arrived. This was no mistake. This wasn't an oversight. This was not, he forgot to tweet it out and they're catching up. It's nothing like this. This has to do with the code. If you go back to November 5th, when the Sutherland, Texas incident occurred, he tweeted out at that time a very similar tweet, but it was a little longer and a few more messages in it. But that's not where the message is that I think he's referring to on this message tonight. A lot of people were making fun of Trump, saying, look, he can't spell, he's got the wrong syntax, he's talking about Texas instead of the shooting in California today, which, let me go back to November 5th, the Q post. It talks about false flags, it talks about 10 days, it talks about war, darkness, and those types of things. So what I think is happening here, and of course, this is real fluid, but what I think is happening here is that Trump, he said he was going to make an announcement, time to be announced, right, when he got back to D.C. Well, there's probably a cryptic announcement, which I believe this is. I think that's what it is. This isn't just a message to his Q audience, okay, if in fact he's behind that, and I think there's a good reason to believe that he is. But also to the loyal people in the government who will now be moving on the traitors, those who have possibly, the Secret Service possibly moving on people that have threatened Trump, with threatened his life, and also this whole thing with all these other pedophile. I don't know how extensive it is, but over 800 sealed indictments over the last few weeks. That's much, much larger than as Scott Anthony pointed out to me tonight, which I don't know why I didn't see it, but he's right. That Trump had maybe 40 people working in his campaign. There's no way this thing could be out to 800. So this is definitely the opposition. Okay, it's definitely the opposition. So anyway, getting back to this Q post on the 5th of November. In other words, today he made the thing about when he landed at Andrews. Our hearts and prayers go to the people in Sutherland, Texas. The law enforcement and FBI has arrived. You go back to November 5th when that incident actually occurred, and you have the 10 days mentioned in there. You also have false flag mentioned, which may be the thing in California. I don't want to put that away like that. That's, I'm not sure about that. But something is going on today. Well, it'll be the 15th. 10 days from the 5th would be, Wednesday the 15th. And possibly might have to add another 12 hours to that, depending upon the timestamps and some other things. So what after Scott and I talked about this a little bit tonight, what we decided that this means is that sometimes probably within the next 24 hours, some major things are going to happen. And the fact that he mentioned Texas, that could have just been because of the time situation for the 5th of November, okay? Because that's when the Sutherland, Texas thing occurred. Or it could also mean that they're moving on somebody in Texas to begin with. And there's a lot on these Q posts, and I don't want to take the time right now to go through all that. There's an awful lot of information on that if you're not, and 4chan is difficult to keep up with. The whole Q clearance thing, you got to navigate in there is very, very difficult. But if you've been keeping track of it at all, you'll know that there's been a lot of corroboration of the things that have been said in there. And so with that information, again, what I'm proposing here is that Trump has made a cryptic message not only to his followers who are following this Q person on 4chan, but also to the operators on the ground who are going to start affecting maybe some tactical maneuvers right now, some actual operations. I think they've been going on, but I think it's going into the collar phase at this point is what I would guess. So within the next 24 hours. Is that clear? I'm talking about this because I've been working with it, but I'm not sure that...
Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. What it is. Sorry to blow out your ears in the intro. I had my volume all mixed up. Hey everybody, how's it going? I was just here showing the Trump speech. God, it's weird that I'm wearing white. I just have to promote my merchandise. See? It's actually pretty cool. I just got my shipment of white t-shirts in. Oh, I can show you where to get stuff. This is what Alex Jones does at the beginning of his show. I don't do well promoting stuff, but now I have most of my items in stock, except for mugs, but stickers, t-shirts. So you can go there to get that stuff. It's all there. I'll show you. Some people do it at the beginning of the show, like Alex Jones. So I should probably do it at the beginning of the show too. I'll show you my website. That's what Alex Jones does. See? lifttheveil411.com. That supports the show. That's what keeps it alive. That's the hope that one day I'll have a very popular brand of merchandise and clothing. And then I'll be able to think about moving out of my dad's house. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I do this show out of my father's garage. It is only that way that it comes to you. I've been doing it for almost 2 years now. Almost 2 years. YouTube made sure that my audience is about as small as it was after about 5 weeks on my channel, because they've kicked me from place to place. So you can support the show. You can also go to Patreon. If you just want to give money, that's great. Patreon.com or paypal.me/lifttheveil. Doshi appreciates it. He's here. You saw him in the intro. He's my producer / handler. Hey, Dosh. Oh, okay. He's usually he's in trance right now, channeling, and then that comes in through here, and then you have voila, the show, the Lift the Veil show. So that guy, who, if you caught it at all, he has a YouTube channel called Roy Potter QA. I ended up being on it. And I saw Really Graceful in the chat earlier. She would know, and I know Scott Anthony that he's talking about. Scott Anthony thinks I have the best show on the internet, I have to say. But I need to use his resources more. It sounds like this guy's using them too. I don't get many shout outs. I could use some more shout outs on channels, but I'm trying to make friends still. Hopefully I made friends with you. Maybe you're new here. I almost am up to 2,000 subscribers now. So that's something. That's something. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for believing. Thanks for believing. I have news lined up in order. What I was going to try to play you guys was, oh, perfect. Jeff Sessions talked yesterday. I think that's kind of the news to catch up on. I live streamed it. I've been trying to live stream live events. Lately, I was live streaming that, and then the Northern California shootings popped up, and I live streamed a little bit about that, except it never made national live news. But I will be doing that. I have only the specific guess based on, I don't know what kind of intel. Tomorrow, my birthday, the Space Needle. It's under major construction right now. So keep that in mind. If you think about it, it might not happen. So that's the reason I'm giving you guys the prediction. But he said 24 hours, meaning today. That was posted last night. Meaning today that something's going to happen. How long have we been hearing that, though? Haven't we been hearing that since the election? It's frustrating to always hear over and over and over again. Seth Rich, WikiLeaks, Pizzagate, especially. I mean, how many times were we told that something was about to happen? Did this Q clearance patriot take us for a ride? Why? What's the purpose of all this? I don't know. But hopefully something does happen soon. In that vein, Sessions testified. He gave a little bit. I'll see how CNN decided to cover it. I have a video here. Okay, 2 minutes summarizing his testimony. Now, it's getting spun, this testimony. It's getting spun in a particular way. Here we go.
The floor is yours.
The suggestion that I participated in any collusion, that I was aware of any collusion with the Russian government to hurt this country, which I have served with honor for 35 years, or to undermine the integrity of our democratic process, is an appalling and detestable lie. I'm not able to comment. I'm not able to comment on that. Well, that's a communication in the White House that I would not comment on.
I believe the American people have had it with stonewalling. Americans don't want to hear that answers to relevant questions are privileged and off limits.
I am not stonewalling. I am following the historic policies of the Department of Justice.
You're invoking executive privilege.
I'm not able to invoke executive privilege. That's the president's prerogative.
You raised your right hand here today and you said that you would solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And now you're not answering questions. You're impeding this investigation.
Senator, I'm protecting the president's constitutional right by not giving it away.
Have you ever, in any of these fantastical situations, heard of a plot line so ridiculous that a sitting United States senator and an ambassador of a foreign government colluded at an open setting with hundreds of other people to pull off the greatest caper in the history of espionage?
Thank you for saying that.
You referred to a longstanding DOJ policy. Can you tell us what policy it is you're talking about?
Well, I think most cabinet people, as the witnesses you had before you earlier, those individuals declined to comment because we're all about conversations with the president.
Sir, I'm just asking you about the DOJ policy you referred to.
Policy that goes beyond just the Attorney General.
Is that policy in writing somewhere?
I think so.
So that's a spin from CNN. The thing about him saying that mostly the spin is that he said he didn't remember a lot of stuff. I watched it and I broadcast some of it, and he did say that, but he said, I don't recall the conversation, but he kind of said it in a lot of cases where, he could have said no, but instead he said he couldn't recall, basically, which could be true. I don't think it was that bad. And they're cutting up his testimony the way you saw CNN cut it up to highlight those parts of his speech. Here's the big spin on it. Okay, is here. They asked him about a special counsel, and he didn't answer it, but he did, to me, in a way. He kind of gave away the idea that maybe there is an investigation into Hillary Clinton. That's kind of what I read into it. He said they asked him if he was recused from investigating Hillary Clinton. And he said, because apparently he had said something like that in the campaign, during the campaign, that he would recuse himself from stuff about Hillary Clinton. He said, instead of that, he said, I consulted with somebody, an attorney in the Department of Justice, and I can't answer that question because I can't comment on whether an investigation is taking place or if it is, and I can neither confirm nor deny. And so if for some reason acknowledging whether he was recused from an investigation would reveal whether it was happening, and the fact that he consulted his attorneys and stuff, maybe it is happening. Maybe there already is an investigation ongoing and he can't comment on it. So it's been spun many different ways. This is the serious spin. It's grotesque. Just Department of Justice, Justice Department veterans recoil at the idea of another special counsel. From CIA outlet The Washington Post. I wonder what their video's like. Oh, it's just another shortcut of the video. I wonder what they decided to cut out of it. They say that his suggestion that he may appoint a special counsel to investigate Hillary Clinton has alarmed current and former Justice Department officials who fear he will further politicize the embattled agency. I don't know if I can show myself. I think I'm going to take myself off the screen. He said he would weigh recommendations from senior prosecutors on whether to appoint a special counsel over a 2010 uranium company deal and other issues, including donations to the Clinton Foundation. Sessions' suggestion has raised fresh questions about the independence of the Justice Department and the Trump administration, because the Trump administration would be directing the Department of Justice to start this investigation into a former political opponent, apparently at the bequest of the president. And here is a quote from somebody. Quote, to have the winning side exploring the possibility of prosecuting the losing side of an election, it's un-American and it's grotesque, unquote, said John Danforth, a former special counsel who investigated the FBI's role in a violent standoff with a cult in Waco, Texas. Now, this is the quote from the guy. The guy that they're quoting was the guy that investigated the FBI's role in Waco and cleared them, basically said it was all good. Quote, the proliferation of special counsels in a political setting is very, very bad. And then you have a Zeidenberg, who once served as special deputy counsel in the probe of former White House aide Louis Scooter Libby, said best case scenario is that the attorney general is simply trying to mollify an angry president and doesn't really plan to name a special counsel. I think I was listening to something, Alex Jones analysis, and he said, oh yeah, we got him. Did you see the smile on his face when he was talking about Hillary Clinton? So you'd have to watch the testimony and see. It wasn't how they're spinning it to be. I think he answered the questions fairly well for the guy he is. They asked him about marijuana. He said states can have their own laws, but the federal law is still going to be what it is. Kind of a non-answer, but to me it indicates that they're not going to be going after state. They're not going to be enforcing that law in states where cannabis is legal, like here in, well, it's not legal yet here in California, medically legal. So that's an interesting point of view from Sessions. I'm going to play you, we're talking about drugs, so I could go into my next story about drugs. And then we have Sandy Hook, those shootings. Okay, so you got an idea about what Sessions said. We don't know if there's an investigation into Clinton. From his testimony, from my analysis of his answers, I think there is an investigation ongoing into Hillary Clinton. That's my surprise conclusion. Jefferson Sessions, it's being proposed. I'll do this first. Jefferson Sessions, it's being proposed, will could potentially, because he's from Alabama, replace this guy, Roy Moore, who likes young girls, from all reports. Not only have 6 alleged, well, not victims, but 6 women come forward with stories about him dating them when they were young, or in one case sexually assaulting one of them when she was 14. And this is just more story about his background. Locals, this is from the New Yorker. Locals were troubled by Roy Moore's interactions with teen girls at the Gadsden Mall. And I guess he was banned from the mall. At least a lot of people have that memory. Let me see where it gets juicy in here. The Post reports that several other women who used to work there remembered Moore's frequent presence, usually alone and well-dressed in slacks and a button-down shirt. This past weekend, I spoke or messaged with more than a dozen people, including a major political figure in that state, who told me they had heard over the years that Moore had been banned from the mall because he repeatedly badgered teenage girls. Some say that they heard this at the time, others in the years since. These people include 5 members of the local legal community, 2 cops who worked in the town, several people who hung out at the mall in the early 80s, and a number of former mall employees. Sources tell me Moore was actually banned from the Gadsden Mall and the YMCA for his inappropriate behavior of soliciting sex from young girls, unquote. The independent Alabama journalist Glenn Wilson wrote on his website on Sunday. Teresa Jones, a deputy district attorney for Etowah County in the early 80s, told CNN last week that, quote, it was common knowledge that Roy dated high school girls, unquote. So that's where it's at. Here, let me read a little bit more. It's a funny story. Legat, this is some guy that worked in the mall, I guess. Legat said that he saw Moore there a few times, even though his understanding then was that he had already been banned. Quote, it started around 1979, I think. I know the ban was still in place when I got there. Anyway, the kids were told to watch out for him. And he got banned from the YMCA too. It's a disaster on their hands. So anyway, they can have Jeff Sessions run as a write-in candidate. But the only thing is, with a write-in candidate, it's really hard to win anything. And they have to get the name exactly right. So it has to be Jefferson Sessions, which, as simple as that is, can really complicate things. If he were seated, and there's no way he's winning the election. So that's a fantasy that he would win the election. But if he did, then they could replace him after that with Jeff Sessions, perhaps. That's the idea, since we're talking about Jeff Sessions. He's a creep. He goes along with all the creeps that have been exposed lately. It's something that everybody keeps getting exposed. Oh, I want to play something else. I want to play something else that's news. It just came to me. we're just going to get a lot of, we're going to get caught up in a lot of multimedia today. There was something Nigel Farage said that you should all be caught up on. Nigel Farage said something about George Soros yesterday. Okay, great. That's 3 minutes. Let me, oh, here's 4 minutes. Okay, let me give you that while we're here, and then I'll talk about all kinds of different stuff. It's just going to be a good news day for everybody.
Mr. Farage, 2.5 minutes.
Thank you. As Mr. Moscovici said at the start of this, the leak of all these papers and lists of people with offshore holdings has come about because of the Society of Investigative Journalists. But what's not been said this morning, and I think is relevant, is that the funding of these investigations came from one George Soros. Now, I say this at a time, I'm going to come back to so what, and it may have some personal interest for you as well. I say this at a time when the use of money and the influence it may have had on the Brexit result or the Trump election has reached a level of virtual hysteria. Just last week, the Electoral Commission in the UK launched an investigation to find out whether the Leave campaign took offshore money or Russian money. This came about as a result of questions asked in the House of Commons by one Ben Bradshaw, somebody linked to an organisation called Open Society. I just wonder, when we're talking about offshore money, when we're talking about political subversion, when we're talking about collusion, I wonder whether we're looking in the wrong place. And I say that because George Soros recently gave Open Society, his organisation, which of course campaigns for free movement of peoples and supports supranational structures like the European Union, he recently gave it $18 billion. And his influence here and in Brussels is truly extraordinary. Open Society boast that they had 42 meetings last year with the European Commission. They've even published a book of reliable friends in the European Parliament, and there are 226 names on that list, including yours, sir. I thought you'd find this interesting. We even had last week Mr. Verhofstadt lobbying on behalf of Mr. Soros at the Conference of Presidents in a battle that is going on with Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary. If we're going to have a debate and we're going to talk about full political and financial transparency, well, let's do it. So I should be writing today to all 226 of you, asking some pretty fair questions. Have you ever received funds, directly or indirectly, from Open Society? How many of their events have you attended? Could you please give us a list of the meetings of all the representatives, including George Soros yourself? And I think this Parliament should now set up a special committee to look into all of this. And I say that because I fear we could be looking at the biggest level of international political collusion in history.
Hey, awesome, right? Okay, cool. So that was pretty good. He called out George Soros, and that's the thing about this Russia gate is it's all about Russia influencing the election. But I mean, we get money from everybody. I mean, there's money coming in from Saudi Arabia like crazy into the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton campaign. So why don't you call them out? Why don't you call out AIPAC? You know, lobbying for Israel and not required to file as a foreign agent or a foreign entity. I mean, how much money are we getting from Israel to support Israeli positions? Why? We have a president who's a Zionist. Speaking of Israel, I'm really rolling through a lot of different news today. Breitbart, okay, you know that guy, Steve Bannon? Probably not many people are reporting on this. Steve Bannon gave a speech in front of a Zionist organization. And we know Breitbart was founded by Jews in Israel. And here from Breitbart News, I told you Trump is a Zionist. We have two sides. They're not both. One might be worse than the other. One is satanic. One is pure evil. The other one, though, it's not that great. It wants to go to war. It might be involved in its own false flags. Who knows? It's not great. I'm telling you, Trump is a Zionist, and he is working on behalf of Israel in a lot of ways. Going against Iran is really in Israel's interest. Even what Saudi Arabia is within Israel's interest. They are buddies with Saudi Arabia. Breitbart's Steve Bannon says, I'm proud to be a Christian Zionist. Steve Bannon gets standing ovation from leading Jewish organization. What did he say in there? He's saying how great Trump is for Jews. Here we go. It is time for us to act, Bannon said, addressing the Jewish community and other American supporters of Israel. Quote, and I believe the only way to act is not through moderation. I am not a moderate. I'm a fighter. And that's why I'm proud to stand with the state of Israel. That's why I'm proud to be a Christian Zionist. That is why I'm proud to be a partner of one of the greatest nations on earth and the foundation of the Judeo-Christian West. Calling Trump, quote, the strongest supporter of Israel since Ronald Reagan. He pulled up his speech about radical terrorism. And by the way, ISIS was never a threat to Israel. ISIS was created by Israel and the previous administration to overthrow the government in Syria. Anyway, he talks about getting rid of ISIS again and talking about the trouble in the Middle East. So anyway, he also talks about his praise for Sheldon Adelson, notorious Zionist, who says he was there for Donald Trump during the PUSSY grabbing incident. I'm proud to be a Christian Zionist, says Bannon, tying himself to Trump when he says that. Okay? So, how will I move on from that? I'll have to just change topics. I have to change topics to natural medicine and opioid dependency, which I suffered from for many years and was taking a bunch by the handful. Opioids. Had to get off them, and benzos. But the talk most these days is about opioids. So I care about this issue. I didn't have a chance to try Kratom. It wasn't available, I don't think, or it wasn't one of the things around when I was getting off of those things. It would have been nice as opposed to the medical stuff. And the FDA just came out with a new policy, not a policy, with a statement about Kratom being super, super dangerous, of course. And the DEA also is about to rule on Kratom, whatever, I don't know how you pronounce it for sure. This girl in this video pronounces it a little differently. Again, I'm in favor of any of these natural things. Anything you can't patent, the FDA is going to say it will kill you. Meanwhile, they talk about this thing having more reports to poison control centers. It's just a joke. They did the same thing with vaping, the FDA. They just are a corporate, they're completely captured by the corporate world. They fight for cigarette companies and drug companies. So this is the report on Kratom. This is from the Huffington Post. Wired, I'm sorry.
Ariana drinks this concoction pretty regularly, and not because of the flavor. It's called Kratom, and it could help fight the opioid epidemic in America.
I started doing heroin when I was very young. When I was 15, I was doing it every day, and that lasted until I was 19.
During some of her later relapses, Ariana used Kratom to ease her withdrawals.
It allows me to treat myself and self-medicate responsibly. And it's also very easy to adjust your dose and come off of it.
And she's not alone. Ariana is one of approximately 5 million Kratom users in the US. They use it to treat pain, depression, anxiety, and in the most extreme cases, opioid addiction. But Kratom is not technically an opioid. It just binds to the same neurological receptors, which is what got the DEA to take notice. In August, the agency announced plans to emergency schedule kratom, which would have landed the drug in the same category as heroin and LSD. But
I think they should point out there, when they say it'll land in the same category as heroin and LSD, that marijuana is still on that same list. And basically anything natural, like peyote, psilocybin, LSD is okay. Oh, excuse me. Someone just told me that David Seaman is smoking weed on camera right now. I used to be able to do that on YouTube, but apparently that's the one thing Twitch isn't okay with. So that's why I have to do it off camera, which I just did. I'll play more.
But a group of tenacious users got the DEA to back down and extend the public comment period until December 1st. With almost 30,000 people dying every year from opioid overdoses, kratom could be an indispensable treatment. So while we could still get our hands on some, we headed down to the Twisted Thistle in San Francisco to find out more.
Kratom most basically is a tree that grows in Southeast Asia, has been used there for hundreds of years.
And Ethan has no qualms about selling this drug.
There are a lot of people that have been using kratom for enough time where if there was the possibility of acute overdose to the point of death, it probably would have happened by now.
The truth is, science doesn't know enough about kratom because there's very little research on the drug. But that's not to say nobody is studying this stuff. This is Oliver Grundmann. He's about to publish a survey of kratom users.
Certainly I understand the DEA that they do not want to have another drug out there that could potentially contribute to the already devastating opioid epidemic that some communities are experiencing. On the other side, we also need to consider that the 4 to 5 million estimated users of kratom may face a health crisis of their own if kratom becomes scheduled or placed into Schedule 1.
And if the DEA does schedule kratom, it will get even harder to learn about the drug's risks and potential rewards.
The problem then is that you get it stuck in Schedule 1. It becomes difficult to do research to show what the actual level of risk is.
And doing the studies on kratom's properties, called pharmacology, could cost $500 million by one estimate. Whether or not kratom becomes a pariah itself, or a weapon to fight the opioid epidemic, is up to how the DEA interprets those public comments. And even if it bans the drug, some users say they won't give it up, no matter the risk.
People all over continue to use cannabis in places it's not legal, so I think I would still continue to use kratom.
Okay, there it is.
I know words.
That's it. The best Somebody was saying something to me that David Seaman is talking about me again. Trying to figure that out. People are talking about it. I'm just curious. He did do a thing where he was streaming the same thing I was streaming. It was 33 minutes long. So I don't know if that's what people are talking about. People say to ignore it. I'm just wondering. I always wonder when stuff comes out of nowhere my way. Maybe it's because when you search David Seaman, this is why he gets mad, is because I make videos about him. Sometimes. What it is. Oh, goodness. Thank you gracious. For tuning in. Oh, waiting for this. Me talking. Sorry about that. When you search his name, this is probably why he gets pissed off. It's because this shows like saying that he's not legit, basically. That got 5,000 views. Yeah, that's on my old channel. Sweet. That old channel's over 5,000 subscribers. That's great. Man, I've been jumping around YouTube forever. I'm curious if he said anything. That's probably why he's mad at me, though. Okay, so I told you guys about kratom. I don't think that Donald Trump is serious about the opioid epidemic, and I think the FDA coming out with that statement is endemic of that truth. If those words made sense together. So it's just awful. They did exactly the same thing with vaping. The FDA came out and declared that it was really dangerous and that nicotine is dangerous for children. It needs to be regulated. And then they regulated it, and if the regulation completes, it's in some sort of a phase right now where it hasn't been enacted. And maybe with the Trump campaign, the Trump regime, it won't be, hopefully. But the legislation or the FDA ruling and the regulations were all made for the cigarette industry, for the benefit of theirs. This is the people that sell this stuff and make this stuff. It's a good small business. It's sort of like opening a marijuana store. You know, people make money off it. It's cool. Like, the people are involved the stuff's made by small companies. Like, when I get my juice, it's just got like a simple label on it. It's from somewhere in California, I think. And that's kind of how you get a lot of the stuff. So I hate this government stuff. It's all big business government, and it hasn't changed under Donald Trump. It hasn't changed. He's not really serious about well, no. Let me take that back. They are talking about that the company that developed OxyContin, which is based here in the United States and is a small company, maybe in Ohio, that created that epidemic. That OxyContin is bad stuff for people. I tried it. I didn't care for it. I liked Vicodin better, but that was my own particularity. It's not good stuff. And I don't think Trump is serious about it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this stuff from the FDA. That's supportive of the drug industry. Okay, I have an article here. It's not pulling up right. I wish it was. I'm going to move on to other news. Shoot. Hopefully this will play right when I play it for you. I'm not sure what the video is. This is about Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook's back in the news because of these other events. Should I cover the other events first? I don't know. It's going to be a little more in-depth. Oh, I really want to play you what Shep Smith. Let me play you this first. Uranium One. Okay, this is big news. I have a lot of news for you guys today. I've already said that a number of times. Shep Smith. This is big news. Shep Smith, the guy who was on Fox News just doing the news reading before Donald Trump's major announcement, which was nothing. He just recapped his trip to Asia. People are going to say, though, he was talking in code. People are going to say he was talking in code, like the video I opened with. I opened with a video saying that he's tweeting in code and that shit's about to go down. Uranium One, the deal that they're supposedly looking into that is going to generate all these indictments, has to do with the Podesta group, has to do with why it's shut down. Maybe Tony Podesta is already under indictment, maybe not. There are supposedly over 800 sealed indictments that could come out at any time. There's supposedly going to be a major false flag. Major false flag. That's what I'm led to believe. Supposedly that's coming up. Maybe that's when, under the cover of darkness, all the things will be unsealed. Everyone will be rounded up. Anyway, Fox News' Shep Smith methodically debunks Uranium One conspiracy theories. Does it make you angry already reading the title? Here, I'm going to play it. People are really upset about this.
Case Shepard.
Catherine Herridge on the Hill. Catherine, thank you. Republicans repeatedly mentioned and sometimes asked questions about Uranium One. The Attorney General Jeff Sessions says he needs a factual basis to appoint a special counsel to investigate Hillary Clinton. One has not yet been appointed, though Attorney General Sessions says he has asked federal prosecutors to evaluate issues presented by House Republicans, including Uranium One. Here's the exchange between Jeff Sessions and the Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio.
What's it going to take to actually get a special counsel?
We will use the proper standards, and that's only thing I can tell you, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I appreciate that.
You can have your idea, but sometime we have to study what the facts are and to evaluate whether it meets the standard.
Well said. So let me ask you this. If in fact,
a special counsel.
So what are the facts? What is Uranium One? Uranium One is the name of a South Africa-based mining company. Back in 2007, it merged with Eurasia Energy, based in Canada. And in 2010, the mining arm of the Russian nuclear agency, Rosatom, bought controlling interest in the company. Among other places, that mining company had operations in Wyoming that amounted to what the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, or the NRC, said was at the time about 20% of uranium production capacity in the U.S. Today, the NRC says it's about 10%. Now, here's the accusation. 9 people involved in the deal made donations to the Clinton Foundation totaling more than $140 million. In exchange, Secretary of State Clinton approved the sale to the Russians, a quid pro quo. The accusation first made by Peter Schweitzer, the senior editor-at-large of the website Breitbart, in his 2015 book, Clinton Cash. The next year, candidate Donald Trump cited the accusation as an example of Clinton corruption.
Hillary Clinton's State Department approved the transfer of 20% of America's uranium holdings to Russia, while 9 investors in the deal funneled $145 million to the Clinton Foundation.
That statement is inaccurate in a number of ways. First, the Clinton State Department had no power to veto or approve that transaction. It could do neither. Here's how it does work. By law, when a foreign company wants to buy anything with potential national security implications, an interagency committee of the federal government must approve it. The committee was given a broad mandate under President Reagan to advise the president on foreign investment transactions. That committee is called CIFIS, or the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. It includes 9 department heads. The Secretary of the Treasury is the chairperson. The rest are the heads of the Departments of Justice, Homeland Security, Commerce, Defense, State, and Energy, plus the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative and the Office of Science and Technology Policy. That's CIFIS.
Shep Smith has a lot of Botox and a lot of makeup. Probably a scary person to meet on the street. Look, dressed up in that getup. Is clearing Hillary Clinton in this production. Just giving you an update. We're about halfway through.
The 9 department heads all approved the sale of Uranium One. It was unanimous, not a Hillary Clinton approval. We don't know definitively whether Secretary Clinton participated at all directly. The then Secretary of State, I should say Assistant Secretary of State Jose Fernando, represented state on CIFIS. He says she did not, reporting that the Secretary never intervened. Further, neither Secretary Clinton nor the committee as a whole could stop any deal of this kind. The committee members evaluate a sale of anything potentially related to national security. By law, if one member objects, the president, and only the president, can veto such a transaction. No committee member of the 9 objected. Federal approvals were also needed. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission approved the sale on November the 24th of 2010, and in doing so stipulated that no uranium produced may be exported. So where does the uranium go? Well, the Energy Information Administration, or EIA, reports that unless special permission is granted by the Department of Energy or other governmental agencies, Uranium One sells the uranium that it mines in the United States to civilian power reactors in the United States. But operators of those reactors have many other sources for their uranium. Last year, 89% of uranium used by power plants in the U.S. came from foreign producers, according to the EIA. Regarding the donations to the Clinton Foundation, again, the accusation is that Hillary Clinton's State Department approved the transfer of 20% of Americans' uranium holdings to Russia, while 9 investors in the deal funneled $145 million to the Clinton Foundation. Here, the timing is inaccurate. Most of those donations were from one man, Frank Guestra, the founder of the company in Canada. He gave $131 million to the Clinton Foundation. But Guestra says he sold his stake in the company back in 2007. That's 3 years before the uranium-Russia deal and a year and a half before Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State. We can't independently verify his statement, but if true, the donation to the Clinton Foundation from confirmed Uranium One investors drops from more than $145 million to $4 million. The Clinton Foundation did not disclose those donations. After a New York Times story exposed them, the foundation reported it made mistakes, saying it had disclosed donations from a Canadian charity, but did not specify the names of the donors to that charity who had associations with the uranium company. Even so, the accusation is predicated on the charge that Secretary Clinton approved the sale. She did not. A committee of 9 evaluated the sale. The president approved the sale. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission and others had to offer permits, and none of the uranium was exported for use by the U.S. to Russia. That is Uranium One. Let's bring in Alex Eisenstadt.
There we go. And for that, people are burning their Shep Smith jerseys right now everywhere. I had something to follow up with that with. Just in case you're a Shep Smith fan because he's on Fox, I want to know what Hannity and Tucker are going to say about that. It's a big fuss is going to be made about that. Oh, I swear, I have something else by. Oh shoot, I swear I had something else by Shep that. Here.
Despite the warnings, lots of people here in the United States have said they're not going anywhere. We will not cover your funerals, and we will not feel sorry for you. They're stocking up supplies, boarding up their homes, and hoping, which is moronic. Matthew is a rare Category 4 hurricane. This animation shows a look at the scale of the damage that we expect there. If it hits the way they're predicting, this is what we expect. Winds could reach speeds at times of 155 miles an hour. Over on our wall, a look at the storm track. The forecasters today have expanded the area where the storm may hit. See this? Melbourne, Daytona Beach, all the way up to Jacksonville. This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky. And your kids die too.
Pretty funny. Okay, all right. So we got through that. For those of you tuning in because you heard me mention David Seaman again, my goodness. I wish I were wearing my normal black attire because I still haven't gotten used to it. Hey, welcome to my show. Maybe you forgot about me. That's because the last time David Seaman attacked me, he got my channel shut down. He asked every one of his subscribers to mass flag my channel with 500 videos on it, and then I got 2 strikes. Then eventually I got a 3rd and the channel was terminated. So we could blame him for that. I'm curious what he said about me. Maybe I'll play that in a review on Twitch after this broadcast is over because I'm curious about it. I haven't put that up yet. Let me put up my address on Twitch just in case this channel ever goes away. Like I said, the last time David Seaman talked about me, that's what happened. Twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. That's my permanent home, or what they would call a permanent address, because hopefully I can always receive mail there. Twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. When these shows get controversial, they get deleted and from YouTube, but they go to Twitch. People watch there. It's a good platform, good video streaming, and you might get better notifications when the show goes live. So get it on your phone, get the app on your phone. You can watch in either place. I have I think 50 people watch right now on Twitch, believe it or not. And then I have my audience on YouTube too. We're going to take phone calls. We're going to take phone calls in a bit. So let me tell you about Sandy Hook coming back up in the news. If you guys know, Sandy Hook was, many people say, there's a conspiracy theory that says Sandy Hook was a hoax. That topic has been wiped off of YouTube. That used to be one of the most popular things probably to go to YouTube to watch videos about. If you wanted to know if Sandy Hook was a hoax, you would go to YouTube. Now, I don't know where you go because everyone that said Sandy Hook was a hoax had their videos flagged and taken down. And in many cases, if they said it was a hoax in more than 2 videos, let's say 3 videos or maybe 4 or 5, 3 strikes, you're out. Channels have now been terminated who had videos from a long time ago saying Sandy Hook was a hoax. I made a career on YouTube, built up about 30,000 subscribers, calling things hoaxes, actually. And I was doomed for that reason. I got hit with my 3rd strike. Every strike I got, actually, had hoax in the title, and then eventually hoax in the tags for a Las Vegas video, and that's why my 2nd backup channel got shut down. So now we're here on my 3rd, and I welcome you. I urge you to subscribe if you forgot about me. I thank you for finding me after David Seaman talked about me. I'll go over that video since I haven't seen it. I'll go over that video. I'll go over that video on Twitch after this show is over, just for fun. Okay. So Wolfgang Halbig is this ex-police officer who had questions about Sandy Hook and has been interviewed now a number of times. I don't have any clips from his interviews to play, but he has been sued by notorious Sandy hoaxer Leonard Posner, who has gone after all kinds of YouTube channels in the past, flagging things, claiming copyrights maybe on things. All kinds of YouTubers claim to have gotten in trouble with him in the past. I never did, but I never really talked about Sandy Hook. I thought it was done pretty well by those that came before me. Can't find that anymore, though. Anyway, he's being sued, and he's in court, and those court hearings are ongoing. One of them just happened this month, being sued by Leonard Posner, and he's going to be able to present in court, he believes, if the case continues to go through, evidence of it maybe not being what we were told, asking some simple questions like, where's the radio traffic from the helicopter? These are some of the things he talked about in the interviews I listened to. Nobody, no EMS, no police were allowed to go into the school after the shooting. Everyone was pronounced dead right there on the scene. Why is that? Certain things like that. Why do you have this guy, Rod Wheeler, who shows up as a grieving parent and as a SWAT officer, I believe? You know, why do you have those things around the case? He asked those questions as a police officer and achieved some fame from that within the conspiracy theorist circles like this one. Okay, so that's going on right now. So far, so good in that case. We also just had some shootings. We had the shooting on November 5th at the Sutherland Springs Church. I have the uncle of Devin Kelly. I have interviewed, an exclusive interview, not by me, by somebody else. I'm going to play that for you. I think it was like a mind control thing. Okay, so we have those shootings. Okay, hold on before I go into that. We have shootings. We have shooting at a church that killed kids, reminiscent of Sandy Hook. Same kind of numbers too, same kind of sketchy details with the same kind of sketchy witnesses and victims coming out after the fact. I've spent a number of shows playing various victims or witnesses on the show and asking questions about what they said, how they behaved, particularly the behavior of a lot of the witnesses you have to have questions about. Same as at Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook being invoked. Here's the latest. This is what I was going to show you. And for some reason, the website's just not showing up the way it should. Sandy Hook family's lawyer to Connecticut justices. Adam Lanza heard gunmaker's marketing message. The Sandy Hook families are suing Ruger, I believe. I believe they're suing Ruger. Sorry, the screen's a little cut off. There. Okay, there. There you can see it. There. Okay. Let me give you the important part of this. They're suing Ruger, saying it was negligent entrustment to sell a weapon to Adam Lanza's mother for a Bushmaster AR-15. And that would be made by Remington, actually, not Ruger. I don't think they have any chance, but this is their argument. This is from the attorney Koskoff. Quote, Remington may have never known Adam Lanza, but they had been courting him for years. It wasn't just that Remington marketed the weapon looking for people with characteristics of Adam Lanza, but that Adam Lanza heard the message. He idolized the military and wanted to be an Army Ranger, and Remington marketed the AR-15 as the weapon used by Army Rangers, unquote. The defense says that under the law, the manufacturer of the gun used by the criminal that day isn't responsible legally for his actions. It's already settled law, basically. But this is just more from Sandy Hook timed to these alleged mass shootings, of which we just had another one yesterday where he supposedly shot into a school. I have an interesting witness call in to a show, which was played on another channel that I'll play for you in regards to that. Let me see if there's any video here. The page is so fucked up. Oh, man. I opened 3 different windows. What the fuck? Ah, that's too big. That's not going to work.
Extensive training and are carefully screened for mental illness before being issued the weapon. A missing weapon in peacetime calls for a lockdown on a base, and losing one in war is a court-martial
I'm going to
offense.
start it over. Hold on. Let me see if I can start at the beginning. This is, I guess, the attorney.
Soldiers go through more than 100 hours of extensive training and are carefully screened for mental illness before being issued the weapon. A missing weapon in peacetime calls for a lockdown on a base, and losing one in war is a court-martial offence. The manufacturer of the Bushmaster takes no such precautions when unleashing their product into the civilian market. They could not care less what happens to their guns once the cash is in the bank, showing an utter disregard for the lives this weapon takes and the families it destroys. Furthermore, they actively market the weapons to unstable individuals. Take, for instance, their advertisement, "Consider your man card reissued." What could be more negligent than that? We, the plaintiff families of the victims of the Sandy Hook school massacre, have infinite patience to see justice done, and utmost faith in the legal system to serve the people it is meant to protect. We have not lost 1 ounce of confidence in the justness of our case. Thank you.
Okay, what a great argument. That's probably going to piss you off. All this news, all these mass shootings, Sandy Hook back in the news. For The Guardian, this is an opinion piece on U.S. gun control. President Trump, please listen to a Sandy Hook mom on gun reform. What does she want? That's what I'd like to know. What does she want? I haven't... Let me look through this article real quick. And then she talked about Orlando. You know, there have been so many of these alleged attacks that are just incredibly odd in their details and the events surrounding them and the people surrounding them. Is it about, let's see if it's about mental health. That's the other thing. And autism. They want to go after that too, typically. Or anything on the spectrum. Anybody who's a little bit, who doesn't fit in quite right. Here we go. Let me see. You have the power to nationalize intervention programs that will train youth and adults. Oh, perfect. This is it. Boy, this is the worst. These are the worst kind of laws or worst kind of movements where they want to train people how to spot a future mass murderer. They would certainly put you in that class. They would certainly put me in that class. They always say, oh, I have some kind of family issue recently, or they had a job issue, or they aren't that friendly. You know, they don't fit in. Then you have to take them on an off-ramp, reintegrate them in society. You have the power to nationalize intervention programs that will train youth and adults how to recognize the signs and signals of individuals at risk of violence. You also have the means to put pressure on states to comply with laws that help protect their citizens. Extreme risk protection orders are one way to protect families and communities from gun violence. This is the thrust of it. Haven't heard of these. ERPOs, extreme risk protection orders. With ERPOs in place, family members or local law enforcement can support someone who is adjudicated as at risk to themselves or others, as in the case of domestic violence, suicide, or homicide, and temporarily remove their access to firearms and block attempted purchases until they are no longer at risk. ERPOs have been proven to save lives and protect due process and Second Amendment rights. ERPOs are established and have been successfully managed by several states, including California, Oregon, Washington, and Connecticut. Extreme risk protection orders are legislation both Republicans and Democrats can and should support. The federal government should be doing everything it can to encourage states to enact such legislation that's been proven to save lives using the carrot or stick of federal grant money. Great. I actually am, I have to admit, I fall under that. I'm in California and I'm not allowed to own a firearm. They took it away because I was declared 5150. Because I am a little, I did at one point have something that was diagnosed as a mental illness, and I was a little weird, unlikely to use a gun, firearm irresponsibly though, even during that time period. And I'm better now. I still can't have a firearm. They say 5 years. 5 years. That's how it works. So that's how it is in California. Like, I can't have a weapon. I don't even know that there can be one in the house. I'm not sure. But that's how it works. Should piss you off. Take away your access to guns for whatever reason. Whatever reason. So that's what's up with Sandy Hook. Let's see. I have news on... Okay. I have news on... Oh, yeah. I had some video for you to play for you guys of the recent mass shootings. So this is a really fascinating interview. For people who saw the witnesses and saw the people who lost family members and were totally fine afterwards, for those of you who saw those videos, and I've shown them a bunch, you want to think, was any part of it real? There's a lot of history on this Devin Kelly, and I think he was mind controlled. I really do. And it's because of what they talk about here. They give his history and stuff. They say he said his head hurt and he wasn't thinking right. Maybe he was, and he was military intelligence too. I think maybe he really died. I think maybe. I watched this guy and okay, that's my opinion, is that I kind of halfway believe him. But you get to come up with your own opinion. He chokes up with tears. So if you're watching, if it's the middle of the show, I should promote my show, my gear again. You can get this shirt. I just got them. And the black shirt. I'm wearing white because I'm wearing my new shirt. LiftTheVeil411.com for that. LiftTheVeil411.com. I have to promote it because I have to try to one day do this show out of my own place. I'd like to. YouTube and the rest of the internet make it hard, but I'd like to. Go to LiftTheVeil411.com. Get your gear. Get your stickers. They're cheap to ship. Stickers are easy. You can put them on everything, like your skateboard, for example. Okay, let me go to this. Okay, this is an interview from Northwest Digital News, a small little channel that somehow got this exclusive interview with Dave Ivey, the uncle of Devin Patrick Kelly, and I have it lined up with a little bit of the background of the story too.
For those of you that haven't heard the story, I'll share with you some of the details. On Sunday, November 5th, there was a shooting at the First Baptist Church in Texas, and that was during the 11 a.m. church service there. The shooter was identified as 26-year-old Devin Patrick Kelly. Kelly was a member of the U.S. Air Force stationed at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, and that started in 2010 until his discharge. Kelly was court-martialed in 2012 for domestic assault, served 1 year in confinement, discharged on bad conduct, and his rank was reduced subsequently to E1, which is Airman Basic. In 2014, Kelly was arrested on animal cruelty charges, but largely unknown by law enforcement in the area. As recent as Sunday morning, Devin texted threats to his mother-in-law. He also posted remarks on Facebook saying, "My head is hurting and I'm not thinking right." According to ABC News on Sunday, November 5th at 11:20, Devin Kelly was seen across the street from the church at a gas station wearing a tactical gear and ballistics vest and had multiple weapons in the car, according to a witness there. He crossed the street to First Baptist Church and sprayed the right side of the church with his rifle. He then entered the church, continuing to fire until a local resident grabbed Kelly's rifle. There were 27 total victims in the church. The number of wounded, I'm sure there are many. We haven't heard the exact numbers on that. One of the stories that I wanted to share out of this was some of the victims crossed 3 generations. Brian Holcomb was the associate pastor in the church and was on his way to the front of the church to give his service that morning. He was one of the victims along with his wife, Carla Holcomb. Their son, Mark Daniel Holcomb, age 36. Also Noah Holcomb, who is an infant son of Mark Daniel. And then Crystal Holcomb, who's a daughter-in-law, a wife of John Holcomb, who's also one of the children in the family. Crystal's unborn child and 3 of her children, Emily, Megan, and Greg. One family lost 9 members. Very incredible and tragic. Dave Ivey, who is Devin's uncle, is joining us here in studio to share what he knows about the situation. Dave, you had mentioned on Facebook that never in a million years could you have believed Devin could be capable of this kind of thing. You said you were numb. The family will suffer because of his coward actions. And I'm so sorry for the victims in Texas. Well, first of all, thanks for joining us in studio to share some of your thoughts on this. And we can only imagine what you're going through.
Yeah, it's bad. First of all,
it's all right.
Sorry, dude.
It's okay, Dave. Take your time. I recognize that even reading that story that I did about that family, it's incredible loss. Our hearts and prayers go out to the victims there in Texas today, and we can only imagine what everybody's going through. It's been a very tough time for you, Dave, and I chatted with you a little bit on Facebook, and then we had a conversation on phone this morning, and you wanted to come in and share your thoughts on it. You've been contacted by a lot of media leading up to today, haven't you?
Yeah, one of my biggest questions was, how fast did they find you? I mean, you know, they always go and try to be the first ones there. So
ABC News out of New York contacted me by cell phone before Devin's name was publicly known. So they wanted an interview from me, and I just didn't have enough information. I was still gathering it myself from the news. And, you know, I'm sorry, you know, that everything like this down in Texas happened. And I have no association with Devin nothing. I text Devin on Facebook. I message him because he is my nephew, and we talk from time to time, but it's very rare. Mm-hmm. And then...
Explain exactly how you're related to Devin.
Devin is my sister's son, and he would be my nephew. I'm his uncle.
Now, you've had contact with some of the family there as well, and you actually have regular contact with Devin's mother, Rebecca.
Yes.
How is she doing?
She's devastated, dude. I mean, her and Mickey, the husband, Devin's dad, they're just, I guess they went in the house and they turned her house upside down, and, you know, I mean, that's...
Well, you were the last one. You told us you were the last one to communicate with him on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if I was the last one, but it was within a couple hours of the event that had happened.
And that was because you had read his post about his head hurting and not thinking correctly.
He posted on Facebook that he wasn't thinking correct and his head hurt. So I private messaged him.
That sounds familiar. That sounds like something, right? Mind control. Voice to skull. You guys heard of that stuff? Low frequency energy weapons. That's why I was saying maybe he's mind controlled. Sounded like it, maybe. Maybe he really died. Sort of like Stephen Paddock. He really died, I think. He took off his sunglasses. He was wearing at the beginning, but he was acting pretty, you know, he did some things that were pretty weird for somebody fake crying, like looking at his phone. That's something you would do if you were trying to keep it together. But anyway, he's going to do it again. You guys decide. You guys decide. I can't tell you how to think. I can just tell you what to think.
And I said, hey, Devin, what's up? Are you okay, bud? Here, have a shot of whiskey or something, man. Life is good. And I didn't get any response from him, and then this happened.
Wow.
You know, so.
You mentioned that Devin was going through some personal conflicts, and you thought perhaps led to this shooting that took place on Sunday morning. What was going on in his personal life that you think might have contributed?
Well, I do know that he's having problems with his ex-wife and his mother-in-law, and just from, you know, this is kind of reaffirming from what I've been reading on the news about what's going on with Devin. And I've kind of suspected this all along anyway, through talking to my sister and, you know, my mom and stuff. But I never thought it would come to this at all. I mean, this is a shock to everybody, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom. Damn, dude.
It's all right, Dave. Take your time. I understand that Devin has a couple of little children, one with the ex-wife who, as I understand, was a member of the First Baptist Church there, and then a current wife that he's with. Is that correct?
Danielle, I believe, is that's. I don't know if they're married, so to say. They're together.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a new relationship. They have a little boy and stuff. And
okay.
So which one was a member of the
I think
the
I
church?
showed enough of that. So you guys got to see it for yourself. People are making up their own mind. He cries a little funny. I have more. I really do have more to go through, but what I'm going to do, since I want to take phone calls and then I'll leave this up and it doesn't have to be so long, is take phone calls. And then I'll do more show on Twitch. I'll do an exclusive on Twitch to get people over there. Since I think it's going to be a future place to be, just so you can try it out for the first time and subscribe to my channel and all of that, just in case I just disappear. People wanted me to show this. There we go. We have a great Discord chat. Oh, let me open the phone and turn on the number and everything. We have a great Discord chat, by the way, which I think I can, oh, it's off the screen somewhere. It's off the screen somewhere. I don't know where it is. Let's see if I make this really big. No, didn't help. This way? No, it's gone. Anyway, we have a great Discord chat is what I was trying to say. People all say the same thing, that it's great. So check that out. In order to get there, all you have to do is type in these letters and make sure you do uppercase and lowercase the way it shows. I haven't opened the phone yet. Now it's open. The way it shows. Okay. You know what I did for everybody that somebody commented, thanks. Let me make sure I get the name right. Somebody commented about my stickers. Cat Consumed, who I think got the first one, commented how they're great quality. Thanks for that. See, look, I put them on this skateboard so you guys can see what's up. Those are some of the stickers you can get. It's hardly even advertising, to be honest. It just has my Twitch address on there. Only because I think it'll exist maybe longer than my YouTube channel. I'll leave this one up. I mean, I see people asking questions about stuff. I'm asking questions about stuff. I don't think it's much different than what other people ask questions about. I think it's okay. I didn't call anything a hoax. I'm going to do more. Yeah, I'll do more show, but again, I'll do it on Twitch just because it's, and then I want to see what David Seaman said about me too. I do want to see what David Seaman said about me. 650 gay taxi, 650-429-8294. A little longer to get calls than usual. Do I not have enough people tuned in? I think I do, between the two platforms at least. Yeah, it's about the right number. So we'll get some calls from people with whatever's going on. People are asking if I skate. I did. This one I got because my neighbor was throwing it out. So I was like, oh, I should just take that. Just in case at the end of the world you might need a skateboard. No, I don't skate. But stickers look cool on skateboards. I thought it was a good way to show them. You can get all those. You can get all those pretty cheap. Shipping's cheap, and it's fast. It just goes out. Whole world. It's not that much to ship. So that's a great way to support the show. 650-429-8294. What else? I don't want to get into yet what David Seaman said. I'm
what it is,
Oh,
everybody.
shit. I wanted to give shit. Are you okay with the white? It's different. The white is different than the black. I never wore that before on the show. I could show you guys, I don't know what to show you right now. I could show you guys the worst victims, family members of victims from the Sutherland Springs shooting. I have a call from the other shooting, but I don't want to distract everybody. Do you guys think something's going to happen? What did I say? Seattle tomorrow, Space Needle. Nothing's happened so far today, right? I was live streaming yesterday with this mass shooting, supposedly in Rancho Tehama. I might talk about that on my Twitch feed. What else? BBC has a report about how we helped ISIS get out of Raqqa and foreign fighters and stuff. That's in the BBC. So that's being exposed for some reason. And then you had Nigel Farage talking about Soros. I wonder. Oh, I know what it is. People are probably calling right now. Shit. My bad. Because I had to restart my computer. Okay. Missed call. Okay. Sorry. Here we go. I'll call this number. I knew it. There we go. Now it's open. I'm calling back one of the callers. Hopefully it works. Yes.
Nathan.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, brother, it's Sly.
Hey, Sly, what's up? Sorry, my phone was not open. I made the mistake.
Oh, no worries, bud. No worries at all. Hey, I wanted to get your analysis on. First off, have you seen the? So in tweets from WikiLeaks and Donald Trump Jr. is sending out a leak. That leak. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
When did it come out? Today?
I think it was yesterday. They were tweeting and just putting a link in there, and it's going to be WL search.
Where do I put that in the address?
You can put it in your browser. Actually.
Oh shit! Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Put it in my browser. Okay. Is it just the whole? They put up the whole tweet conversation. Is that what we're about to see?
No, what it is whenever they're tweeting about certain things, they're just putting this link in there, right? And it has to do with Seth Rich.
Oh,
so it's gonna be WLSearch.tk, and it has like a clock, like a watch on there, with a face, and then you scroll down, and it basically just it's a couple paragraphs, and I was just wanting you to read it and see what you thought about this whole thing.
Oh, how freaking weird is this? Okay, and they're actually...
And you can read it out loud, dude.
I will.
It doesn't take very long at all.
I'll read it out loud. Thanks for pointing me to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're actually tweeting this link out in tweets, Donald Trump Jr. and WikiLeaks.
Right.
They really are.
That's what. Whenever I found this, the guy that directed me to this, which I mean, I don't have Twitter myself, so I don't.
Okay.
You can verify that because you're the one that you have Twitter, I think. Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so that's another reason why I was calling was to see if you could verify it. I really don't have Twitter to verify it.
Yeah.
And
okay.
then and then also I was gonna throw something out there. Do you think perhaps like so when Hillary Clinton and Rahm Emanuel, they're talking about turning a crisis into, never letting a good crisis go to waste, right?
Yes.
Well, do you think it's possible that when stuff like this happens, say for Texas, for instance, I think you're one to kind of question the amount of people that actually died, and with that, do you think like maybe 4 or 5 people could have died, and these guys talked to the families and kind of instill it in their head that, you know, do you want this to happen again? Like, we need to maybe fabricate the amount of bodies so it gets people's attention, so they actually do want to give up their guns and stuff, which, I mean, it's not working, obviously. It's actually, I think it's kind of countering it, to be honest. People seem like they want to have more guns. They want to be protected whenever they go out in public nowadays. So I was just seeing what you thought about that.
But just listen to this weird story and this guy's weird history. I kind of believe that he is the person they're painting in the pictures, and then I kind of believe that he died. And maybe he showed up wearing all black, shooting a gun, and then went into the church. But I just don't know what happens from there. Maybe that's, I considered that possibility. Yes. And then, the story doesn't add up because he parks at this gas station, which is a little ways away, gets seen going all in black, shooting outside of the church and then shooting inside the church for 13 minutes and then coming out and getting shot and having his vehicle right there. It seemed like, when his vehicle wasn't right there before, and then getting chased. A lot of the story doesn't add up. But I can't say what to think. I saw his uncle talk, and I think it's realistic the way he talks, sort of like the way Stephen Paddock's brother, I thought at first was bullshitting, but then I kind of came around on that. So man, it's confusing. I'm not going to jump to conclusions.
It really is. I try to dissect, when they say stuff like that, what it actually means, because, I mean, they're saying it for a reason, and to me, no crisis is good.
Right.
You know what I mean? When people die, it's not necessarily a good thing, man. And they say, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Right.
So to me, is that when a crisis happens, to fabricate it, who knows, man?
Yeah, then if crises are from the ashes comes the phoenix, out of chaos, order. And so it's the same thing as if you create a crisis or chaos, then you can form, the narrative after that. You can create the new world, the new order. So I'm sure that's what they're referring to. And that's what these false flags are used for. Yeah. Is to create that kind of fear, chaos, in order to do something you want to do or point people in a direction you want to point them in. So I think they just want us in fear of leaving the house. I mean, all this stuff in South Florida where this guy's just randomly shooting people, where this guy supposedly was randomly shooting people,
Mm-hmm. They do put it in people's conscience. So I'm one that I like to live my life, the way I do, and out of fear, because you never know when something's going to happen. But it's definitely when they talk about it, it definitely does put it in your head. It does make you think about it, and maybe that's what the agenda is. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking my call, brother.
No problem.
And looking into that for me, I'd appreciate it if you did, or whenever you get the time.
Okay, I'll keep looking into the Sutherland Springs thing and see what we can find.
Yeah, no, the Twitter.
Oh, the Twitter thing. Okay. Oh, the Twitter thing with and that thing. Okay, I'll read that to you. Somebody said it's some kind of a prank. Already, I saw in the comments. But I'm gonna read it to people so they can decide for themselves. Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Okay. Cool. All right. I'll show you this thing. Somebody made a comment about what it was, in the Twitch chat, saying, or maybe in the YouTube chat, saying the context of it. This is what it is, though. This is what it is this thing that says, my name was Seth Rich, and it has a face of a watch. You finally found me. I'm the source of the John Podesta DNC email hacks. I've been waiting so long for you to join me. Thanks to WikiLeaks and Trump Jr., you'll all know soon why Hillary Clinton and John Podesta had me killed. It's kind of a joke, though. As you can see, I'm no Russian agent. I'm just, it's kind of a joke. It's kind of a joke. So I don't know what it is. It's kind of a prank. The Seth Rich story is fake news, I'm telling you. And Donald Trump was pushing it to divert from the Russia thing for real, even though there's nothing to the Russia thing. After he fired Comey, then he pushed the story with Rod Wheeler on Fox News, where they set up Rod Wheeler, and it was cooked up. It was cooked up by this rich guy and Donald Trump. No investigation was ever done, no autopsy report. The parents were just not credible, along with the brother. He's in Israel somewhere. He's from Omaha. Connect the dots. So that, whenever I hear Seth Rich, somebody on the Trump PSYOP team is pushing that, like WikiLeaks. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan. This is Duster.
Hey, Duster. What's up?
Not much. So, have you looked into or heard about this organization called Stop Autonomous Weapons?
Stop Autonomous Weapons. I don't.
Yeah.
I have not yet.
So there's a video on YouTube. It's definitely a scare video to get you to realize how crazy these new weapons that are being developed by the United States military and MIC. You should definitely play it for everybody. You can just type in "Stop Autonomous Weapons" or you can type in "Slaughterbots" as one word.
Slaughterbots.
It's a pretty good video.
Okay.
And I think maybe these have been actually weapon tested on people around the globe, because why not? The cleanup would be pretty small, and then if anything, you could just blow up the area with a weapon. So
Okay.
I think maybe when Trump dropped the Moab was a weapons test for the self-autonomous bots, and then the Moab just cleaned up everything else, cleaned up the bots.
Okay. All right. It's like a 7-8 minute video. So
You just need to play the first 3 minutes.
Oh, first 3 minutes. Okay. You think it's worth it to do right now?
Yeah, the guy's like on stage talking about it.
Okay. You think it's worth it to do it right now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I can
All
get
right.
off the air too.
All right. Cool. All right. Thanks, Duster.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to take his word for it. I would play it on my follow-up show. We'll take more calls. Just we're respecting the listener here. We'll see.
Customer pilots directed almost 3,000 precision strikes last year. We're super proud of it. It allows you to separate the bad guys from the good. It's a big deal. But we have something much bigger.
Okay, I'm going to watch this later. I'm not going to watch it right now. We can watch this in the follow-up show. I'm going to be on Twitch after this. I'll give you the address for that too. I'm going to be on Twitch after this to do some of the follow-up and to see what David Seaman said about me. So that's twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. You might want to get there now and switch over, because I'll go, if you want, because I'll be doing that after this. But I just want to take phone calls right now. Discord link is there. People really like it. They find it really valuable to talk to other people who are sort of like-minded. So I have lots of stuff on the screen right now. So this is for Discord. It's a chat room. It's open 24/7. It's got a bunch of side chats. It's people who like it really like it. So that's all I can tell you. So check that out. 650-429-8294. 650 gay taxi. I have a lot of stuff on my screen, I know. Trying to keep the show consumable on YouTube. It's been how long? Only an hour and a half, so we're okay. We're good for phone calls. I don't have anyone answering my calls, getting them lined up. But usually it's not too much of a problem. Maybe I'm right on the edge of having enough people for good phone calls. At first, I didn't have my phone turned on. I have more stuff to get into on my after show. It'll go to my after show faster if people don't call in. But then people will be mad at you that you didn't call. What else is news? I'll look at the chat. Can't see anything. Radio silence. Oh, you know what else I have that's great for a lot of people is a podcast. And you can find the podcast just by searching Lift the Veil on SoundCloud or on iTunes. People really, really like the podcast. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hi, Nathan. This is Kimberly from Missouri. How
Hey,
are you?
hey, Kimberly from Missouri. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And hi, everybody in the chat room. I'm Kat Thomas in the chat.
Cool.
So, yeah, I haven't talked to you for a while. But first of all, God bless you because, wow, you have just done such an amazing job coming back from all your channels being shut down. And I'm not kidding you. Your determination is just amazing. And so I just want to thank you for that because I knew there was something very special about you the very first time I seen one of your videos, and that was when you were covering the Dave Acton story. And that's when I first clicked on your videos. And so I just want to thank you.
Oh, thanks.
But real quick, I want to switch to Wolfgang Halbig.
Okay.
Are you familiar with John B. Wells' Caravan to Midnight show?
I don't think so. Tell me about it.
Okay. Well, he used to be on Coast to Coast AM. He was on there for several years, and so now it's a subscription-based show. It's like $5 a month or something like that. And so his team, his production team, they're working with Wolfgang, and all the caravanners have donated a lot of money, including myself, over the last several years because this gentleman is just an amazing man. You know, he's a state highway patrol, and his specific job was to go to these schools all over the country and follow up and put procedures in when there was mass shootings. That was his particular job. And so after Sandy Hook happened, he went to Connecticut. And all he was trying to do was just find out, you know, if the policies had been followed, if things were done right. And they kicked him out. They kicked him out of the meeting. They wouldn't even let him talk. And then that just made him more determined, and he couldn't figure out why they were doing this. And that led him on this mission that he's been on. He's had death threats. He had people show up in black uniforms in his home, giving him death threats and said, "Wolfgang, if you don't shut up, something bad's going to happen to you." It was several weeks later he was run off the road. And so he's been put through a lot, and he will not quit. And so he was happy when, what is the name of this dad that's taken into court? I can't think of it. Posner?
Posner, yeah.
Yeah, he was glad when Posner was taken into court because he said, "I'm finally going to get some information. I'm finally going to be able to ask my questions." Well, he would get one judge after another who wouldn't cooperate. He couldn't get an attorney. He would plead on the John B. Wells show, you know, surely there is a brave attorney in this country that will help me. And he finally got one I know of, and he was able to go to Connecticut and get depositions. And John B. Wells, they filmed that. And so you can see that on John B. Wells' show, The Archives. And then because of the harassment that attorney was getting, she dropped him. And it's just been just one ride. This man is he's an amazing gentleman. I've actually contacted him through email several times over the last couple years, and just like your caller said yesterday or the day before, he's very open. He says, "I promise to pay all the caravanners back who donated money. You know, when all this is done, you know, call me anytime." He's just completely open. He's just his family has been put through. I think it almost caused him to get a divorce, and but he refuses to give up. So
Yeah.
he's so credible, very credible.
Yeah, well, and I heard what he was going, what he explained he was going through, and how his family, they would go after family members and try to get them to lose their job, and I saw the same thing happening to me when I was being gang stalked during the George Webb thing. Dave Swigert, I have a letter in front of me to my dad harassing him, and then I can only imagine it would extended to people close to me, where other channels wouldn't want to associate with me, because anytime that happened, they would get gang stalked. So I really do applaud him for pushing through that. He must have a supportive family to be able to do that too.
Right, and he says he's been, because he's paid all of these trips to Connecticut and back. He lives in Florida, and he says there's something very strange about Connecticut. Something very strange about. In fact, he even went on to say that it almost he believes it's a CIA.
That who is CIA?
He believes that he said there's something very strange about Newtown and the politicians there. He's been there enough times. He went there. He's a Catholic, and he went to one of the cathedrals there. He was going to talk to who would it be? I don't know. I'm not Catholic, so I don't know. But anyway, they wouldn't even let him in to the cathedral to pray and to talk to priests, I guess it would be.
Wow.
And he said he had never heard of such a thing.
Ever. That's crazy.
But he's got so much evidence of it just being so fraudulent. And he was an immigrant from Germany, and he really believes, in America and the United States. And he's just heartbroken that it's turned out to be not what he thought it was.
Yeah, right. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, he's finally getting to court on it. I'm interested in where it goes. It sounded like the court hearing he had this month on the 7th, I believe, was pretty positive, that he came away from it pretty positive. And I think he may have had an attorney with him this time. Earlier this year, he was representing himself. But he may have an attorney with him this time, and he's a little happier. They're kind of happy about where the proceedings are going. The guy following him that I knew about was We Are Change Orlando.
I'm not familiar with that.
That's another YouTube channel. They have the entire hearing on video, unedited, so you can see that. We Are Change Orlando. He's down in Florida, so he's going to these hearings with with Wolfgang Halbig, and recording them. So we're seeing it happen now. So we'll see. And then we had those Sandy Hook files released. I mean, there's a lot of news on Sandy Hook. Maybe Trump is having something to do with the release of the files, and maybe that was supposed to reveal something. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Trump. I am, because I just lost you on the screen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're still good. Okay.
I've been a Trump supporter from the very beginning, and I didn't know. I kept an open mind when the debate started, and I really did. I kept an open mind, and having a nursing background, any nurse will tell you that a huge part of nursing is observing, watching the patient, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're in with a patient, you're watching their facial expressions. You're watching their grimaces to see if they're in pain. And while you're talking to them, you're watching their body movements, and you're listening to their tone of voice, and you're getting their history, and you just watch everything. And I'm telling you, I didn't miss a debate. I watched all of the interviews that I could, and I'm telling you, if he really isn't who he says he is, he deserves a prize for one of the best actors I've ever seen. Because when I heard him, when I would watch and listen to him talk about America and the American people, and there was just such passion in his voice, and the corruption, it just seemed like he couldn't, stand it. And it seems like his word, means so much to him and his family. And Now, granted, after he got in and those appointments that he made, I was very troubled by. I was troubled by the person that he put in to the FDA to be the head of the FDA, and I can't think of his name. He's a pro-vaccine person, okay? And then we know that didn't Trump come out? Trump was against vaccines. He put somebody. Who was that? He put somebody in charge of checking into all the vaccines. Do you remember that?
I do seem to remember something.
Was it a Kennedy?
Here, I have something from Fortune magazine on February 16th that says Trump has long linked autism to vaccines. He isn't stopping that now. He isn't stopping now that he's president. It says so. It says
and he put. So when, it troubled me when he put that guy in at the head of the FDA, who is so. I think he came from some huge pharmaceutical company, and he was, pro-vaccines, and that upset me. It upset me. Some of the people that he put in from Goldman Sachs and things like that. But, you can, I've heard so many people talk about Trump having a very high IQ. He has a very high IQ. This man is not stupid. And I just have a feeling that way before he ever announced that he was going to be running for president, that he was, I believe, putting people in place. I think, that I think he was setting things in motion several years prior to him even saying that he was going to run. Because I think that's how brilliant he is. I do. And I know that he has connections, with Israel because of his daughter. I don't know, I don't know how much. I've heard some people say that they thought Trump was a little naive to just how deep the corruption really, really goes here, in the United States, as far as, us bringing in, the CIA bringing in drugs on there, and going clear back to Vietnam and things like that. I don't know if he was as naive as some people thought he might be. I do believe that I think that he detests this pedophilia and the things that are going on. I think that I just do. I've listened, I've watched, and I really believe that is something that he's trying to take care of. But like one of your callers said yesterday or the day before, you're looking at this deep state and this corruption and this swamp going clear back, to at least John F. Kennedy, when the country was taken over, I believe. That's my side. And I've started to call him before and kind of voice my opinion about Trump, and I thought, no, I'm not, I didn't want to get into a debate or anything, but I don't know. If he really did not believe with his heart what he was saying when he was debating and in interviews, man, is he a good actor. Man, he's a good actor.
Well, I have to say, so there are certain campaign promises he hasn't exactly followed through on, and among them kind of being surrounded by Goldman Sachs. But he may, if things come true, like what Q Clearance Patriot said on 4chan, if that stuff comes to be, the stuff everybody's talking about who's a Trump supporter, that we're about to see the attack on the deep state, the cleansing of the deep state. If that comes true, then I can put more behind that. Regarding the pedophilia, what do you think about his close ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, I heard about that. Now, I heard one person on the John B. Wells show say that he went to that island as much as Clinton did, and I don't believe that. I know that, isn't there only one documented trip that we know he took?
I don't know what the details are. All I know is that people talk about it. I don't know how you get access to those flight records. I have heard there were multiple trips, though, but that sometimes the flight logs aren't taken for everybody that's on board. We have Clinton, I think, logged on board multiple times. Then we have stories that come out about Trump, and he's neighbors with him and kind of friendly with him. It seems like that's somewhat documented. And he said that one famous thing where he said he likes Epstein, that he might like girls that are a little too young, basically, but he's a good guy, that kind of thing. So anyway, it's worth looking into, because I don't know if he's going to take down the pedophilia or not. He might be taking down pedophiles, though, with Podesta and Clinton and those people who a lot of people accuse of that kind of thing. So I think it's a wait and see still. He certainly hasn't followed through on a lot of the stuff he promised. Like, I remember in his second debate, he said something about the Fed, about getting rid of the Fed, basically. And he clearly hasn't gone along with that. And his financial policies are pretty Goldman Sachs and stuff. So I don't know if his populism is really held up, but I'm giving him more benefit of the doubt lately because of the happenings now and what's proposed to maybe being about to happen. So I respect, the opinion of people like you who really have faith in him.
Well, and that's another thing, Nathan, I wanted to compliment you on is that you reserve the right to change your mind. In other words, you don't have to say that every single thing that happens is a hoax. For example, when you were talking about what happened in Las Vegas, and you took some slack over that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and to me, that made you even more real, because anybody that I watch or listen to that refuses to say, well, wait a minute, this doesn't look the same as what we've talked about in the past, for example. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with Trump. I mean, I remember when I started listening to you early on, you were absolutely against him. I mean, mm-hmm. you voted for him because who else were you going to vote for, right? And but yeah, and I'm like you on that. If Trump had disappointed me in some things, and I'll keep an open mind about it. But I wonder, once he got in there. And do you think that do you think he was as naive to believe that when he won the presidency, that once he got in there, that he was going to have some control, and that people were going to kind of fall into place? Maybe I kind of think maybe he thought that. I don't think he. Yeah, go ahead.
I wonder. I mean, maybe it really took this long, and maybe it's still taking time, because all the pieces have to be in place in order to expose these people. You can't just come out and say 70% of the government is corrupt and you can't just come out and say that. And maybe he thought, I'm willing to consider that maybe he thought it would be a lot easier to clean things up, and he found out that it wasn't, that
That's
it's not.
What I think, Nathan.
It's possible. It's possible.
That's what I think. I think once he got in there, because I've heard, and I can't remember where I heard it now. I might have been on the John B. Wells show, but somebody was saying, those people that are in Washington that have been there 30 and 40 years and longer, those are the career politicians, and they're not going to let someone come in and serve a 4-year term or an 8-year term and change things. They're not going to let that happen, because they're just in there temporarily. And I think that if he could have went in there and things would have went like he thought they were going to go, I think we would have seen things happen at a faster pace. That's kind of my hope in my heart right now.
Right.
And like you said, we'll have to see. You know.
Right. I think we'll have to see. Well, things could happen any day, so we're going to find out, I think. But certainly the stuff he did in Saudi Arabia, at least it was effective. He certainly got some people rounded up who were bad people, from all we can tell. So that's one thing that turned me around on him a little bit. So we'll see. Thanks, Kim. I really appreciate the call. Kimberly.
Thank you so much,
to get a call from
Nathan.
you.
Keep up the good work, and God bless you. And maybe we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, cheers. That was nice. It was a long call, but I think it was an insightful call. We got a defense of Trump, I don't know if he's going after pedophiles. I just don't know. He's a little too close to Epstein. I'm not being as hard on him as before, though. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen, and the stock market's going to crash one of these days. Crypto's happening. Bitcoin's back up. So everybody listened to me when I said it might die. It might not. I still would be diversified, though. It's up $620 today. But LiteCoin's up too. 650-429-8294. Thanks for hanging in. I'm going to do an after show. I have all kinds of stuff. I want to see what David Seaman said, and then maybe we'll look at some other stuff, or maybe I'll save that for tomorrow. We'll see. I might have some more show, some more interesting show. That's if you tune in. If you tune in, it always gives me energy to go forward. Oh, not to that, but you tune in to Twitch. Twitch.tv/lifttheveil411, where I'll do an after show. We're going to wrap up this show maybe after. Sorry, I got all this stuff on the screen. Discord chat too is open. That's right there. We're going to wrap up this show after the next caller, I believe. Or we might wrap it up right now. We'll see. I only took so many phone calls so far, so I'll see if there's another. Thanks for listening to my show. I really appreciate you. Thanks for donating. Thanks for going to my shop, lifttheveil411.com. Should I show you that again? Lifttheveil411.com. We have stuff like the t-shirt I'm wearing now, which we just got in stock. But the black shirt is the real first edition. Those are mostly sold out. Everything's limited edition. Everything. 1 of 50 for the shirts. The mugs are only 72 of those. There are only 100 of stickers of these designs. I showed you the stickers. Those are easy. Stickers are easy because they're cheap to mail. Shirts and mugs are more to mail. But you can get stickers like this for your skateboard or for your car window. I guess I can hold it over here. See? That's a great way to support the show. I'm just saying. Just throw those in an envelope and send them off to you. Then you can wear you can ride around with your stickers. Whatever people do with them. Or t-shirts like this. We will wait another minute or so because that was a great call. And then we'll go over to Twitch. I'll probably pee. And then we'll show what David Seaman said about me. I'm curious. I just can't help it. I'm sure some of you might be interested. Came out of nowhere once again. But it brings people to my channel, which is great. Always brings people to my channel. They're like, I came over to your channel because David Seaman was talking about you. I heard he called me a pedophile. Oh, the other big thing is that Bitcoin, the Square, is thinking about introducing Bitcoin payments. I still think once that happens, if they take anything but Bitcoin and people realize the fees are smaller and the transaction is faster with other coins like LiteCoin, for example, maybe Ethereum, for example. I don't know exactly how Ethereum works, to be honest. Maybe Ripple coin. Then people are going to use the other one instead. And then people could rapidly lose faith in Bitcoin or not want to use it to buy stuff. And then the other ones could be more accepted. But everything's priced in Bitcoin. Everything in the crypto world, and then that's the closest thing to the real world, is priced in Bitcoin. So it may be the gold of cryptocurrency. You may want to just buy gold if you could afford it, or silver, because those should go up when the next false flag, major 9/11 size false flag happens. Oh, wow, 2 calls. This is Nathan. You're on the air. Oh, shit. I got 2 calls at the same time. The one I picked up dropped. I'll wait. And then we'll be doing a show on Twitch right after. I can just get rid of this stuff. Go to Discord to meet people. Go to Twitch for the show after this show, where I'll play the David Seaman thing and maybe more video, depending on how many people tune in. If I get over 100, then I'll maybe stay live for a bit on Twitch. If I can get over 100 people on Twitch. I dare you. If I can get more than 100 people, then I'll keep broadcasting. I mean, I'm definitely going to show the David Seaman thing. I just got 2 calls. Okay, it's been 2 hours. So we can take calls on Twitch. I am signing off. And then I'm signing right back in on Twitch, where you guys can see what David Seaman said about me, what my instant reaction is to that, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. Get the app on your phone. Lift the Veil 411. Okay? See you guys. Great having a show with you. And normal time is 1:11 p.m. Pacific time, 4:11 p.m. Eastern time. That's when we started today. Okay? Cheers, everybody.